Celebrate with Teddy covers as he hits the 50,000 plateau on Twitter. Right now, you can get a 7-day all-access pass for only $50 using coupon code TC50 when checking out on Teddy's 7-day pass. That's 7 days for less than a 3-day package and $49 savings from regular 7-day all-access price, coming to just $7.14 per day. To redeem this special, go to Teddy's homepage at either WagerTalk or Sports Memo and use coupon code TC50 when checking out for his 7-day all-access pass.
Hey guys, welcome in on a very happy Friday to you. February the 11th, and we've got seven chalky-ass NBA basketball games to break down here, and we're going to do it on this Friday with our esteemed Friday colleagues here. And nobody heading into this weekend better to have on than Andy Lang, the prop master himself, joining us, as is Tony Mejia and Mr. Steve Merrill, 2Rs, 1L, hanging with us here on this Friday. We've got, of course, the games we'll break down. We'll have some best bets. We'll even throw in an added bonus, talk maybe one or two of these cross-sport props tied into the Super Bowl and, of course, the NBA as well. So, Andy, I'll start with you here, my friend. You continuing to cash those tickets. So, congratulations on another fine month thus far here. What do you got locked and loaded heading into Super Bowl weekend?
Well, first off, Super Bowl pack is obviously up. Lots of props up there, and you'll get all props up until the Super Bowl kickoff. So there are some props you have to wait until Sunday to actually make. So waiting, it's important to line shop, but also important to wait to know when to pounce. I'll just be honest. Today's been a bad day. We had a 5% play. We put the Cleveland Cavaliers up at -7, and 20 minutes later, Darius Garland got rolled out. So we had to take it down. It was a gigantic bummer, and it took the wind out of our sails. And we just said, you know what? We're just giving away all of our plays. So if you go to Twitter at Bump Sports, we just put out all of our props that we like tonight. They're free. I don't have anything to promote in the NBA. Sometimes you just weather the storm and wake up and do it again tomorrow. So that's what's going on.
No, listen, they're still playing the Pacers, so it's not all isn't lost there. Well, I'm sure we'll be able to celebrate here anyway at some point before the night is over. Tony Mejia knows that as you have been focused, I believe, on the NBA here today. What do you got locked and loaded for us tonight?
Yeah, hitting and refresh like a maniac on Twitter and other information sources to see if Ayo Dosunmu was cleared concussion protocol for his game against Minnesota, and then who's arrived and who's cleared to play after the trade deadline and all these games. So we'll see. But yeah, nothing is up yet because there's no clear info. There are leans that I do like. And then, yeah, last night was a bummer, as I told you earlier, losing the under on the Suns-Bucks game, which had no business going over, but it did with about 40 seconds left. The Suns got 30 points every quarter, despite an off night from Devin Booker. They just got whatever they wanted at the rim. Milwaukee didn't show up. That was disappointing, but we move forward. There'll be a 5% play on Super Bowl Sunday on the game, and clients already have some of my preferred props. I gave some out on WagerTalk yesterday, where I really like Joe Burrow to top 10.5 rushing yards. So
okay.
We'll move forward with that, and it'll be a busy weekend.
It certainly is here, guys, and none busier than Steve Merrill here. And Merrill, listen, the chalk his ass again last night, 6-1 straight up. That brings the total to 37-5 straight up for the favorites here over the last 6 days. Makes it very difficult. The contrarian gods are mad as hell here as the chalk continues to win out. So I don't know. It's got to stop at some point, doesn't it, Merrill?
Oh, it'll definitely stop at some point, but that's also, when you're standing at the craps table or whatnot, he keeps saying we can't have 4, 5, 6s in a row, and then that 7th, 8th, 9th, 6 comes in a row, and you're broke. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
A great line from the financial markets, as I always like to say, is the markets can stay irrational longer than you can stay liquid. I think that's kind of what the gist of it. So
Great.
you have to be careful. I always say don't try to catch these falling knives. If a stock's down 80% and it goes down to 90%, you've lost half your buck. Just from that 10%. Don't forget that's a double. Same thing with dodging these speeding bullets. Right now, the favorites are speeding bullets. I do think it makes some sense. We've talked on it here on the show Wednesday that, look, trade deadline was yesterday. When Wednesday was the day before, now it's the day after. A lot of uncertainty, maybe a lot of lack of focus for some teams, especially the bottom feeders. Also, the NBA All-Star break is next week. They get off a full week now from Thursday to Thursday or Friday to next Thursday. And then, and we have seen the better teams blow out the bad teams. With that said, there's still opportunity. I actually had the one outright. One of the only 2 dogs that covered Wednesday had a best bet on the Blazers. They won outright. I was playing with fire, fading a favorite. Last night, I thought I was pretty safe. I had a favorite. It was the only one that lost. So the other ones went 5-0 against the spread. That was the Warriors not showing up against the Knicks. But yeah, now not only 37-5 straight up, Joe, I think it's 34-6 against the spread with a few pushes. That, of course, is what's really important, right? And you look at the card tonight, pretty chalky once again. The majority of the games tonight are 7, 8-point favorites or bigger. With that said, I'm going to pass the NBA tonight, but I do have a strong best bet in college hoops. I've been number 1 the last 2 years in college basketball, and I'm going to have my top 25 video later tonight. There are 3 games on Saturday, top 25. There's 1 tonight on Friday, UConn Xavier, and that is my best bet. So get it right now, Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com.
All right, guys, head on over. Let's get it done, and let's kick it off with our contrarian play of the day. We are going to focus on the Oklahoma City Thunder. They're taking on the Philadelphia 76ers. Bit of a tricky spot here for the Sixers. Made a lot of headlines, of course. We know yesterday, a lot of talk about their newest addition here. And like Tony Mejia said, is he going? Is he not going? Well, the bottom line is pretty big game coming up, I believe, as well against Cleveland tomorrow. So what do you think, Andy? The spot screams contrarian back into Thunder here. Are you willing to hop on that train?
Yeah, I do like the spot. I don't think I don't see why the 76ers want to prove a point here and win by 15 points. A win is good enough. And, Dort is playing, so the Thunder at least have their best player here on this one. So I would be with the contrarian gods. I mean, this run of favorites is going to flip. And if you keep playing this streak long enough, it's going to bite you. So I would think now would be a really good time to start looking at teams that are getting plus points here. And this number is huge, but Joel Embiid over 33.5 points. I think I'm going under with this one. Seth Curry's gone, and Drummond is gone. These are big pieces that affect Joel Embiid's points. Embiid tends to go over when Curry isn't there, and he's going to be guarded by Derek Favors tonight, which seems to be a pretty good matchup for me. Maxi's dealing with a hamstring injury, so Joel Embiid, this could be one of those 40-point night, 30-minute games where the Thunder just have no answer for him whatsoever. It's a huge number, but he's gone over this plenty of times. I just don't see an answer for Embiid from the Thunder. So I'll take Embiid to go over this total, but I'm with the contrarian gods. I think this number is way too big considering the spot.
Yeah, I mean, given the status of this roster here, Tony, Drummond's gone, right? So we've got no Seth Curry anymore. Maxey is quite, I don't know how much they're going to push in this game here tonight. So what do you think? You're willing to hop aboard with the contrarians and back OKC?
Back that Teo Maledon and Ty Jerome backcourt off the bench? Oh, God, no. God, no. I'll pass on this one. I might have to sprinkle in Andre Kokashevsky in my DFS lineup because riding Oklahoma City. I mean, look, that second unit, at least you'll get effort. But for Philadelphia, it'll be interesting to see if we do get Maxey out there, because if not, then it will be guys that like Isaiah Joe or Furkan Korkmaz will get lots of looks, considering Harden won't be available yet. And again, if Maxey potentially out, and also Shake Milton, he's dealing with a back issue. He may return, may not. We'll have to see. But all these guys are going to eventually be competing for shots and trying to fit in with the new look of James Harden and Joel Embiid taking turns as the focal point of that offense. So it'll be interesting to see how that all shakes out. As far as tonight, this was a hard pass for me, or easy pass, as in, but hard as in no way, no go either side.
Don't make me hop on a bunch of Derek Favor props here, all right? Because he's going to dominate Embiid. Like, don't make me here, Steve Merrill. I don't like the spot for Philadelphia, not with Cleveland on deck, and whether or not Harden will be available. I'm kind of thinking tomorrow would be the day you unwrap him. So I don't know. What do you do here tonight, laying 13.5?
Well, I mean, first of all, I have no problem backing the Thunder, right? They've been a point spread machine. It's funny that we're saying the team that is 34-19 is a contrarian play, because if the public's been playing them, and they probably haven't, that's why they've been covering. They've been making a lot of money with Oklahoma City. With that said, I used them as the free play here on the show Wednesday, and they bit me. Did not play well against Toronto. I thought that was a flat spot for the Raptors. Oklahoma City remains a very bad offensive team. It's been their problem all season. The problem recently, then, the reason they're 0-3 straight up and only 1-2 ATS their last three is they're not playing any defense now either. They've given up over 50% shooting in 3 straight losses. That's a concern. But like you said, Joe, I just don't know how focused Philly's going to be here. I am a little concerned that they've lost 3 of their last 4. They're coming off a loss to Phoenix. You would think they wouldn't overlook a bottom feeder normally, but maybe with all the trade hoopla, the Simmons-Harden situation, and with the game on deck tomorrow, they can get there. So if I'm going to play this one, and I'm not going to play, but if I was going to play it, Oklahoma City would be the way to go. They've been a point spread machine this year, and they've been very good in this role as a double-digit dog. And by the way, going back to the start of the year, the beginning of January, the last month and a half, when they failed to cover the previous game, they're 5-1 against the spread. That would apply tonight with the Thunder. We'll see if they bounce back.
Yeah, no, there's the spot calls for it. The gods are screaming. Take the Thunder plus 13.5 for our contrarian play of the day. All right, let's focus here on a featured matchup tonight, and a pretty interesting one at that, with the Denver Nuggets taking on the surging Boston Celtics, if that's the right word here. -5 as a open, 217.5 for the opening total. And boy, oh boy, now I'm starting to see sixes. The total creeping up here a little bit. 2 teams that have been red hot here over the last month. So what do you think, Andy? It's an interesting matchup. What are you looking at from a prop betting perspective?
Well, I wrote an article on this game for WagerTalk.com that is up now, and surging Boston. Oh, what a great winning streak. So I just want to point this out. Here's their last 8 wins. Okay. Brooklyn, who's falling apart, Orlando, Detroit, Charlotte, Miami with no Jimmy Butler, New Orleans with no Brandon Ingram, Sacramento, and Washington. I mean, it's a buffet of wins that they've had there. But you sprinkle in there, they had 1 game against a playoff caliber team, Atlanta, and they lost by 10. So I would be worried about saying, oh, this Boston team has really, really put it together. I like Denver in the points tonight. But from a prop betting perspective, I talked about this one with Merrill early. I love Marcus Smart over 12.5 points here. Schroeder's out, so that's going to take away a lot of minutes. I'm not really sure that Derek White is going to get a lot of minutes here because he doesn't know the rotation, and this is a close game. It's a game they would really, really like to win. And another big thing, Morris is out, and Bones Highland will be trying to guard Marcus Smart. That's a big advantage for Marcus Smart. He's had 2 22-point games in his last 4. I think this sets up really well for the perimeter of Boston. This total seems really, really low to me. That's my favorite prop in this one.
All right. Yeah, starting to creep up there a little bit. The love for Boston also showing up here, Tony Mejia. It's not like they've been bad, Denver. They've actually been pretty darn good. 8 of 12 now they've won. But Boston playing some defense. How do you approach this game tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I think my lean would be to the over. I think we'll see a lot of Boston's core out on the floor. Ime Udoka really hasn't trusted his bench much anyway. And Schroeder and Josh Richardson were shipped out of town. So that leaves Peyton Pritchard and Aaron Nesmith and Roderick Thomas, a two-way player, Sam Hauser, a two-way player. on the bench if we don't see Derek White at all tonight. So it's basically your Tatum, Brown, Horford, Robert Williams, and Marcus Smart being out there for the most of the playing time, with Grant Williams off the bench as your sixth man, and not much depth. So Denver's the deeper team here, and they will. I mean, most teams, the way they like to combat Nikola Jokic is to make him run up and down and make sure he's getting back in transition. So the Celtics could certainly push the pace to take advantage of that. I think they'll throw Horford on him first, and then obviously Robert Williams and his athleticism. But Jokic is going to do whatever he wants out there and get his guys shots. So if Bones Highland has a good shooting night, I think the over will cash easier. So that's probably my favorite play out of this game is the high side in Denver-Boston.
All right, leaning towards the oval here. I will say Austin Rivers is going tonight. He's probable now on the 4:30 report. Just saying. Merrill, the problem with Denver has always been what happens when Jokic goes to the bench. Because when he's on the floor, it's absurd. But it's when he goes to the bench here. So you got enough faith in this Denver team to pull off the upset in Boston tonight?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is a Denver team. It's got one of the best, if not the best player in the league right now. They've won 7 of their last 10 straight up, and we're getting 6 points with them. And I thought Andy brought up a great point, and it's something you guys know I love to talk about is steps up and steps down in class, right? I mentioned a lot on the college basketball show, and we don't always talk about it in the NBA because most teams, even the bottom, they're all all-stars, college all-stars. But this is definitely a step up in class for the Celtics because, as Andy pointed out, they've been feasting. I mean, on weak teams. In fact, on this current 8-1 straight up run, let's just look at the point spread. They've been favored by 6 points or more in basically every one of those games but one that they won and covered. So what is it? 8-1 straight up. They've been a 6-point favorite or more in 7 of those 8 wins. And as Andy said, the one time they were a dog, they lost by 16 at Atlanta. So I do think this line is overinflated based on recent results, and we get some value now fading the Celtics. And I've got no problem doing so with a talented, dangerous live underdog in Denver that's won 7 of the last 10 straight up.
It's a tough spot here. I mean, if they can hobble together enough players there, Boston at home, the market says we should be looking at them there. Should be a great matchup. And then, of course, we have our overtime matchup, a game in which we'll focus on the total. Oh, let me see. Is there anything that sticks out in a oh, yeah, there is. How about this one at 241 points here? Hell, it's even been higher than that at some point throughout the last 24 hours. Bulls, Minnesota, 241, Merrill. Is it high enough, in your opinion, here? I mean, where is there a number high enough to make you want to go under here?
Yeah, Joe, I was laughing because when I was on Wednesday, the overtime segment was Charlotte, Chicago, right? Hornets and Bulls. And remember, it opened 230 and a half. And it landed and closed 237 when we were doing the show. And I called for a Merrill middle. Game landed 230. So I don't know. I'll have to check. Maybe there were some 230s out there, but I think technically we said 230 and a half. So I was so close. This one opened 241 and it's held 241. So, obviously it's a huge number. But look, I'll stick to my guns. More times than not over history, when you get some of the highest totals of the season, they usually go over until they start making the corrections. And this is about as high as we've seen. So, the fact that we haven't seen like a 4 or 5 point move higher tells me that the market is kind of neutral on it. Over is the only way I would play this one. And the fact that they only put up 230, don't let that scare you on Wednesday because we talked about Charlotte. They were on, 5 straight unders? Remember, they'd gone under like 13 out of 16 or something. Minnesota, a different story here. Minnesota has quietly gone over in 7 of their last 8. Better offensive team than Charlotte. Chicago still has plenty of offense, 121 in that game the other night. I like over 241 here. I don't think it's high enough.
All right, not thinking it's high enough here. And but the problem, Tony Mejia, is everybody on the Minnesota Timberwolves who's anybody is questionable. So who the hell is going and who not? I mean, if we don't have Edwards, right? If we don't have Russell, this number is very strange to me that it hasn't moved given this 6 of the Minnesota Timberwolves, a number of starters and offensive production are questionable here. So what do you do in this spot?
Yeah, we know Karl Anthony Towns will be out there and Jared Vanderbilt and McDaniels. That's about it, because everybody else is questionable. You mentioned Anthony Edwards, Beverly, D'Angelo, Naz Reid, Torian Prince, who's been pretty good of late as a forward off their bench. So presuming that all those guys play, you would like the over there, because they really do come at you in waves, and their bench is better than given credit for. Some of those guys are talented and they play hard. So Chris Finch has them headed in the right direction. I think, though, that my bet would be the under, simply because you have the volatility of who's in, who's out, and this team just comes off destroying the Sacramento Kings, who play no defense whatsoever, even though the Bulls are riding with a very short bench. And I mentioned Ayo Dosunmu in the open. We don't know if he's going to clear concussion protocol to aid the Bulls' cause. I do think they'll dig in on the defensive end at some point in this game to get some stops, although DeRozan's been riding hot. Zach LaVine obviously bagged. Vucevic has been a monster over the last 10 days. So, need more clarity on this one in terms of who's in, who's out. But the number is obviously telling you they expect a very high-scoring game. But if you're in there and it's 124 to 115 late, and you lose on the under, it's a sad Friday night.
Wow, it's kind of brutal here. It makes prop hunting, I would assume, very interesting here, Andy, for this game. What have you looked at?
Looked at everything, and the books are holding off on some of these guys, and we see that sometimes. So what I'm going to do on this one is I'm going to wait. And if we get Edwards and we get D'Angelo Russell, the one guy I'm looking at is if D'Angelo Russell plays, I'm going to take his over points, rebounds, and assists, since he's come back from injuries, sailed over in 2 out of 3 games. The one game he didn't go over, he was miserable from 3-point shooting. That should not be a problem against Chicago. So I'd wait on that one. If you see D'Angelo Russell is in, take his prop. I don't know how you don't play DeMar DeRozan over 28.5 points. He's going to play 36, 38, 45, and 31 points his last 4 games. And the thing is, you guys mentioned the bench. I mean, look at his minutes. 45, 39, 41, 36, 38. I mean, he's on an incredible roll. I wouldn't want to get out in front of it and try and take an under on him. So DeRozan over his points. You just got to roll with these guys. And we see these guys like Trae Young and Joel Embiid, these superstars that get going on these over points. It can go 10, 12, 13 games. Take DeMar DeRozan and also wait on D'Angelo Russell. That's what I'll be doing in this one.
Guys, the trend is just absurd here with this game. Just to give you an idea, the Minnesota Timberwolves are on a bit of a run right now. In fact, 11-1 to the over in their last 12. They are 23-6 to the over on the road this year. 23-6. I don't even know if it matters who plays or who doesn't over there with these guys. It's unreal. So not anticipating defense, and neither is the marketplace. 241. Might want to look at the over. All right, guys, let's take a look and see what the dogs are saying tonight.
That's my dog. That's my dog. That's my dog. That's my dog. And anybody got to say anything, you let me know. That's my dog.
All right, 7 games on tap. Here are your 7 dogs. Which one will be barking here? Thunder, 13.5. Our contrarian play there. The Pacers, the Pistons, shocker. The Denver Nuggets, the San Antonio Spurs, the Timberwolves there find themselves as a dog in that matchup. And, they're back. The Orlando Magic getting 2 touchdowns in this game. So, all right, Andy, start us off. Which one of these are you going to make your dog here tonight?
This is just a tough slate of dogs, but give me the Pistons. And it's more of like, are you really going to lay this many points with Charlotte? Like, no chance. Like that. Like there is a 20% chance that they just get in a full-out argument in the middle of the game. That could actually happen. They've lost a bunch of games in a row, and not only that, they're just kind of getting blown out. We had a Jeremy Grant sighting. I know Cade Cunningham is questionable. We'll wait to see about that. But Sadiq Bey can get going from 3-point, and Jeremy Grant can exploit this. They're just awful inside. Charlotte is against power forwards and centers, and I don't expect a whole lot from Isaiah Stewart. I just don't. I don't see any team that I would want to be laying this many points to with Charlotte. So I'll take the Piston. It's one of those hold your nose and take the Detroit Pistons type of plays.
I love it. I don't understand the total in this one either. No Hayward tonight there. So should be very interesting to see if they can get over 100 points. That being, of course, the Charlotte Hornets. What do you think here, Tony Mejia? Some interesting spots, some big numbers. Where are you going to look at here tonight for a dog?
Yeah, I'm right with Andy on the Pistons. I think that it's interesting that Jeremy Grant stayed because he was being shopped, and there were a lot of suitors that wanted his services. But ultimately, from what I read, him being quoted is that he's happy to be there, and it'll be interesting to see how they build with him in place and Cunningham and Sadiq Bey, who's been pretty good since Cunningham has gotten going. But obviously, we don't know if Cade's going to play tonight. He's missed the last few games with a hip pointer. The Hornets have 3 guys out with ankle injuries. Cody Martin's out as well, and the other McDaniels, in addition to Hayward. So all those guys, and it's going to be interesting actually, because I thought Detroit got in on Marvin Bagley Jr. cheap, so they'll be able to put him in their starting lineup going forward very soon, and that'll be a nice lineup with Grant and Bey and Cunningham and Stewart and either Hamidou Diallo or Killian Hayes. They've got Frank Jackson off the bench tonight. I think they'll score points, and I think they will cover this game against Charlotte, who has really struggled of late because Terry Rozier can't find the basket, and they're not sharing the ball very well.
No, and they don't like each other. The good news is Cade Cunningham on the 4:30 report. Same time yesterday, he was listed. He was downgraded to doubtful, but he's still questionable as of the 4:30 report. So that's good news for the Pistons. We've got 2 for Detroit here. Steve Merrill, where are you going for your dog tonight?
Well, I mentioned one earlier, the Nuggets I thought were a live dog, but I'll give a little different game here that we haven't talked about. Last one on the board, first in Tony Mejia's heart, the 9 o'clock Eastern game. The Orlando Magic plus 13.5. We're going to add a little bit of value to his season tickets, maybe if they pull the upset win once again. I'm not going to call for an upset win, but it's more of a play against Utah here. Look, Utah's won 4 straight. They covered 3 straight. They've been ice cold against the point spread before that. They'd actually only covered 2 of their previous 13 games before these 3 straight covers. And remember, last year, they went on one of the most monster runs we've seen, like 18-3 against the spread. So, normally you'd say, hey, Utah's not a team you want to fade at home. Orlando coming off a big, not a big dog when they won as a dog, but a big win by 18 points at Portland. You'd say, they're going to regress. But when you dig deeper here and look at the scheduling setup here, the Magic have been off for 2 days, so the altitude shouldn't be much of a factor. And they don't play they do play at Phoenix tomorrow, but they'll be focused tonight. They'll be rested. And then Utah, they've been off for a day since the big Golden State win, and they are off for another 2. They play Houston, but I just don't see them fully focused for this game. They beat Denver, Brooklyn, New York, and Golden State. Those are the 4 wins they've had here during this current homestand. This is a huge step down in class. It's a non-conference game. Yes, Utah wins. I don't think they win by more than 14. And let's look, the last few times they've been big favorites, they only won by 10 at home against Detroit. They lost outright at home as a 13-point favorite against Roberts' Houston Rockets. And then we go back a little further at Detroit a few weeks before that. They lost outright as an 11-point favorite back in early January. So they've been a terrible double-digit favorite here over the past month. Orlando Magic keep it within the number tonight.
Oh, I love it. Orlando gets the vote. 2 for Detroit, 1 for Orlando. Now it's time for Best Bets. All right, we got 7 games on tap here, guys. You put it all together, and you end up coming up with a play these guys like a little bit more than the rest. So, Andy, 60 seconds, my friend. Tell us, what is your best bet here tonight in the association?
Well, it's a game we talked about earlier. First off, I would like to say, just based on all the trade deadline things, can we just admit the tampering rules in the NBA are among the most worthless things in all of sports? I feel like James Harden has been tampering for 8 years, and no mention of it whatsoever. Just get rid of him. So, best bet, LaMelo Ball over 21.5 points. We talked about this game between the Pistons and the Hornets, and I think it's going to be close. And you look at Detroit; they give up 23 points to shooting guards. And what I like about this is when you catch players, when you have them on the downswing, can you catch them on the upswing? And we saw LaMelo struggling a little bit shooting. And last game, he broke out of a slump. He was great from threes. He scored 33 points against Chicago. So I'm looking for these guys that, we may get signs of life here. So I think he's going to improve his shooting. We get him on the upswing. 21.5 is too low. I'll take the over.
Taking the over there. All right. Bets. So talk to us here. Tony Mahia, 60 seconds on the
Real
clock.
quick.
Go ahead.
Before you start me on the clock, are we still doing these Super Bowl crossword?
Yeah, we're going to do it right after. Yeah, we're going to do that right after.
So I won't mention that here. All right.
There you go. I'm just waiting for you to drop the Orlando Magic as your best bet here tonight. But 60 seconds. Come on, man. Where are you going?
You can keep waiting on that. Rudy Gobert might play tonight, even if he doesn't. We've got Hassan Whiteside playing well. One of the more useless things in the NBA is also these social media thank yous. And look at how petty this one is. It's the Philadelphia 76ers saying thank you, Seth, Andre, and all right, you too, Ben, as the third mentioned, Ben Simmons, who had multiple All-Star bids. The Brooklyn Nets, James Harden one is really funny too. Thank you for everything, James. Real good. I'm sure that they those players appreciate that. The game that I like most is let's see, what was it? The Atlanta Hawks against the San Antonio Spurs. Spurs moved on from Derek White. I think we'll see Darius Vassell in the lineup. Vassell, pardon me. And he's going to be pretty solid for San Antonio, but they lack depth. Joshua Primo, who's still a teenager, I believe, is going to be their primary guard off the bench tonight. They just got Zach Collins back, and they're facing an Atlanta Hawks team that is completely at full strength. So I will not go against the favorite run, and I will lay the points with the Atlanta Hawks. I think they dropped the hammer on a very young San Antonio team.
Hammer the Hawks is what he's saying. They're going to be dropping it here tonight, Atlanta over San Antonio. All right, Merrill, you're up, man. 60 seconds on the clock. Where are you going on this board here tonight?
Going to use a game we talked about earlier here on the show as the best bet for tonight. Now, once again, I don't have an official best bet for my clients in the NBA. I'm treading lightly here the day after the trade deadline, a lot of uncertainty, but I do have a strong college basketball best bet, a top 25 matchup for Friday night between Xavier and UConn. Right now, Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com. And don't forget, there are 3 top 25 matchups Saturday. I'll have my video later tonight for the Saturday college basketball top 25 preview. And then, of course, Fade the Public, NFL Super Bowl style. This Saturday will be right here on WagerTalk TV. You're going to look at the side and total and also some public props for Super Bowl 56. NBA play tonight, though. We talked about it earlier, and I still like the over 241 in the Bulls Timberwolves. You know, look, it looks like a big total, right? It's 3 as a point spread. That's saying 122 to 119. Bulls have scored 122 or more in the majority of the last couple of weeks. T-Wolves have put up 119 or more in the majority of their last couple of weeks of games. Even if Minnesota's shorthanded, I think that playground-style basketball increases the scoring tonight. T-Wolves and Bulls over the biggest total, 241. It's big for a reason.
Ain't broke, don't fix it. Those numbers are absolutely scary. Oh, no, what a surprise. Time for everybody's favorite segment. Mostly everyone's favorite soundtrack, but we're going to take a look at the John Ryan angle of the day, courtesy of our good friend John Ryan over at sportsmemo.com. John tells us that we want to look to bet overs in games that are between, 220 and 229.5. We also want to make sure they're in non-conference matchups. And if we are following 2 consecutive ATS wins as a favorite, then we want to bet the over tonight. It is 90 and 44 against the number. That is 67%. Utah and Orlando over the total. All right, very good there. Thank you very much, John Ryan over at sportsmemo.com. And now, guys, let's have a little fun here if we can. Wanted to just throw a couple of these up on the board and see if you guys have any ones that you're leaning towards. The cross-sport props are always huge this time of year, especially when you've got the Super Bowl on Sunday. You got a slate of NBA games coming up this weekend. So there's a couple that we came up with here. And, of course, feel free to chime in with one that you like, but we've got Joel Embiid made free throws, -2.5 versus whether or not Evan McPherson, how many points will he have on the day? Throw up another one over there. We've got Mobley points and rebounds versus Matthew Stafford completions, laying 2.5 there with Matt Stafford. And of course, I think we got one more up there where we're looking at. Oh, that's it. Those two. Okay, so those are the two there. So you guys tell me if you like either of those or if you have one of your own. Talk to us, Andy. Start us off with a cross-sport prop here that you like.
I'll be looking at Jaylen Brown -1.5 points over the first half total points in the game. Jaylen Brown, he's had some really big games, 22, 26. He's even had some 29 and 31. What I like about this one is they have the total in the first half set at 23.5. They just played Atlanta on the 28th. He had 26 points. Night before that, 30. So I think he can. Trae Young is still terrible at defense. Let's be honest. And so I don't see them guarding any. They're not going to slow him down on the perimeter. He should have a big game. So when I look at this one, I think this Super Bowl game is going to have a lot of running. I think they're going to start off a little bit tentative, and if any of these drives sputter out, we're going to see field goals, which gives Brown ample opportunity to come over this. So give me Jaylen Brown -1.5. over his points compared to the first half points in the Super Bowl.
I love that. All right, good. First half, I think 23.5 right now is what that line is we're looking. How about it, Mejia? Where are you going cross-sport prop here?
Well, the most popular basketball game on the planet on Sunday is going to be that Hawks-Celtics game because nobody wants to watch the Timberwolves and the Pacers, mostly because of the Pacers.
Good
and
point.
It's a little too close to the Super Bowl there. So by then, people are doing their pre-partying, but you can get in on Atlanta, Boston, which is actually watchable, and then you can do your cross-sport prop, and there's a really good one because it's basically straight up. You're taking Atlanta Hawks points at Boston against Cooper Kupp receiving yards. And although I like the Hawks today a ton against the San Antonio Spurs, it might be difficult for them to score in Boston. The Celtics have actually been really good on the defensive end. They've held 5 of their last 6 opponents under 100 points. I almost said yards. And, they're playing Denver tonight. I think Denver actually eclipses the century mark because I told you I really like that over. But the Hawks haven't been on the road much of late. Since January 14th, they've only played on the road 3 times. This will be their 4th going into Boston. So I think the Celtics could hold them right around 100, 105. And then the sample size for Cooper Kupp, let's start since December 5th. He had 129 yards against the Jaguars, 123 at Arizona, 136 against the Seahawks, 109 at Minnesota, had a 95. That's the only time he did not close the regular season out by eclipsing the century mark, 118 in the overtime win in San Francisco. We lost because I lost on that. And then 183 yards at Tampa Bay and 142 last week against the 49ers. So you want to get in on Cooper Kupp to get at least 115 yards in this Super Bowl, and the Hawks not to get that many points against the Celtics. So give me Cooper Kupp and lay the little juice to outscore the Atlanta Hawks.
I love that, man. Cooper Kupp outscore. The Hawks against Boston, maybe under the century mark. It could very well be. Nice angle there. Talk to us here, Steve Merrill. You got a NBA/Super Bowl cross-sport prop for us.
Yeah, I'll go with the first one you put on that list there. We'll look at that Embiid free throws made -2.5 against McPherson total points, who, of course, is the kicker for Cincinnati. This is interesting because, first of all, my initial thought is I want to fade the public, right? And this is something I'm going to probably mention in my video. The field goal prop apparently is very popular this week. Over field goals made, over 3.5, right? So I'm looking, I want a reason to fade that and take Embiid, but I'm telling you, the more I look at the numbers, it's hard to lay 2.5 here because first of all, I assume this is the Cleveland game tomorrow on Saturday, right? Because they don't play Sunday.
Right.
So you're going to have a no-rest situation. So, you can make an argument maybe Embiid plays a few less minutes. Also, you've got all the chaos of the new pieces and the puzzles. You've got a potential ball hog now joining the team. So maybe Embiid gets the ball a little bit less. He gets fouled less, gets to the line less with Harden there now. Even just say everything's normal, right? Embiid recently has been hitting some free throws. Now he put up in his last game, he only made 6, made 10, made 11. But before that, I look back over to the last 27 games. He's only had more than 12 made free throws. Like 6 times he's had 12 or more. Okay, so that would mean McPherson would need 9.5 points, right? I mean, 2 or 3 field goals gets him there almost. 2 or 3 touchdowns, you get some extra points. And 3 straight games now, he's had 4 field goals and then 1 or 2 extra points. So he's had at least 13 or more points in the last 3 playoff games. I know some of that's a little on the high side. That's why I was saying I wanted to kind of go the other way. But McPherson started the season off with 2 field goals or less in like 8 of the first 9 games, but he's had basically 3 or more in all the games the last couple months. So they are kicking more. I think they'll get some extra points as well, and I just don't think Embiid gets there a lot. So I'll take the plus 2.5 there with McPherson versus Embiid's free throws made.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, 8.1 during the regular season is the amount of points that McPherson was good for. And I'll throw up that Mobley one. I'll give you the numbers, guys, so you can decide. You've got whether it's Mobley, his points and rebounds averaging 23 combined points and rebounds this year, Evan Mobley. The Super Bowl prop for completions of Stafford is 24.5. So that's what you're dealing with here. And again, Mobley going up against Embiid. So that should be very interesting. 23 points and rebounds is what he averages. Stafford's number, 24.5 for the Super Bowl. Should be a pretty good time here, guys. And to recap it all for you, best bets and leans, everything. Here's what we've got coming up for you tonight with Andy Lang backing what? The Detroit Pistons. He's taking the 7, rather. His best bet is going to be LaMelo Ball going over 21.5 points, looking to get it done here tonight for Charlotte. While Tony Mejia, he too agrees with Andy. Give him the Pistons plus 7, but he likes the Hawks as his best bet to just have a field day, shall we say, against San Antonio. Levy 8. And Steve Merrill, he back in the Orlando Magic, getting almost 2 touchdowns there against Utah. His best bet, though, if it ain't it's high for a reason. 241, bet it over. Timberwolves and the Bulls. And our contrarian play of the day, the other game and team that are getting 2 touchdowns, the Oklahoma City Thunder. Back them, guys, against those Philadelphia 76ers. Now would be a great time, though, for you guys to head over to WagerTalk.com. I can tell you right now, with everything that's going on here, those 3-day, 7-day, and 30-day all-access packages may be the smartest and most profitable investment you make for the rest of the year. So head over to Wager Talk. You've got Andy Lang, his prop package ready to go. Tony Mejia, and, of course, Steve Merrill. They are locked and loaded, guys. Best bets, not only tonight, but throughout the weekend. Now would be a good time to head over to WagerTalk.com. Pick up that 3-day, 7-day, 30-day all-access package and never miss a play. And on behalf of it and Tony Mejia and Steve Merrill, guys, best of luck with your plays here this weekend. We'll be back on Monday breaking it all down for you again as All-Star Week approaches. But until then, good luck, guys. We'll talk to you on Monday. Make it a profitable weekend.
Lock in all sports, all plays, all 5% best bets from now until Super Bowl 57 on February 12, 2023 from your favorite Wager Talk handicapper for only $1,199 versus a regular price of $1,999 for one total savings of $800. This limited time super discount comes out to less than $100 per month and only $3.28 per day. As an added bonus, your all access starts immediately. So the sooner you buy before Super Bowl 56, the more additional days you will get for free. Just go to WagerTalk.com, choose your favorite handicapper to lock in, and don't forget there is no limit to the amount of handicappers you can redeem our Super Bowl to Super Bowl offer on.